Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We do hope you're keeping very, very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, we are here. Yes, we are live. Just firstly, a massive, massive apologies for being very, very substantially late. I might let the man tell you why we were substantially late during this show. If you're listening to the show for the first time, where have you been? We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We are, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're on any social media platform you can think about, we're on there. I can promise you. If you are listening to the show for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by 3 of our regular returning guests to Last Word on Spurs that by their beaming smiles, you can see are really, really enjoying this season so far and what we've had and what we've hopefully got to come. Let's bring in our wonderful panel that's going to talk you through all things Tottenham in this next hour and look ahead, of course, to what I've always is this show's the big match preview ahead of Liverpool to come at the weekend. Back alongside me, better late than never. We've got the wonderful Ricky J. Norwood in the house. Ricks, how are you, my man? You okay? We're going to unmute him now. That might be another half hour. We've got him.
I'm good, thanks, Rick. So I've been sitting here waiting for Matty Hayes to turn up for 20 odd minutes, mate, and it's just not on, mate. It's just not on.
Negligence, isn't it, Rick? Negligence.
Negligence, Matty. I mean, yeah, of all people, bruv.
I can only apologise. I'm sorry,
mate.
I'm sorry.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I've got to apologise to everybody because, yeah, I just kind of totally forgot what time it was, and I kind of believed it was 7:30, and just totally misplaced what time it was, but I'm blaming it on the new winter time and how it's getting darker quicker. I don't know. Oh, do me a favour, Sean. Oh, goodness, here we go. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, but I apologise to everybody that's been sitting there waiting, and I'm loving being back on. It's great to be back on with the great Matty Hayes, the beautiful Christina, and the one and only Ricky Sachs, and with all you beautiful people out there as well. Let's get into it.
Oh, bless you, my man. Love to have you back on Last Word on Spurs. That we're here. The good thing about us being here now is we can kind of give you an overview of where things stand after, of course, those Carabao Cup results. Not that you want to see me talk about the Carabao Cup or any cup competitions, nor does Ricky Norwood. Rick's has still got nightmares if we talk about the Carabao Cup. Yeah. I'm not going to put him through this on this show. Back on Last Word on Spurs, like to have him back alongside me. No journalist this time. We're straight into where we are game shows-wise. We've got the wonderful Matt Hayes. Matt, how are you, bud? You okay?
I'm all good. It's not my fault. No matter what Ricky Norwood tries to tell you, all right? I've been here since 8:25. Steve has also said if I got a power cut, I don't, but I also don't have a light bulb. So that's why we are the way we are. But looking forward to what's bound to be a fantastic show. Looking ahead to a very, very big game that could be a bit of an early season definer for us. So I'm excited to get into it.
It's going to be one of those nights. It is most certainly going to be one of those nights. Thank you so much, Matt. Making up our panel, we've got the wonderful Christina Zandes back. Chris, love to see you back on Last One on Spurs. I mean, you messaged me earlier and said I might be late. I mean, turns out you were early, right?
I literally left early because I had after work drinks. I could have had 5 cocktails by now. But thanks, Ricky. Whatever. Anyway, and then literally I've been talking to bless Matt for ages whilst we've both been waiting. I thought he was going to tell me a scary story whilst in his lovely scenery at the moment. But you know what? We're here. We're all here.
I mean, the good news is, Chris, like I say, we've saved you those 5 drinks for, of course, Thursday being the new Friday. So don't be worried about it. We've got you. We've got you locked down. We're all good. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We are here providing you with, of course, the big match preview for Liverpool to come at the weekend. I think it's fair to say it's been an interesting week as a Spurs fan because again, we've had obviously the fallout from the North London derby where I think it's fair to say Spurs that maybe started under the radar, that mask is slowly starting to slip now. And obviously with the more and more pundits that comment about Tottenham, this radar is quite literally being lifted. So I think, again, whilst there's exciting times ahead, I think we probably all agree we'd love to stay under that radar. So I will start with the North London derby. Then, of course, we'll make our way ahead, of course, of Liverpool to come. Big game for Tottenham at the weekend. Ricks, I'm going to open up with you. Spurs' unbeaten life to the Premier League still carries on after what we've got to say was only a second point away to Arsenal in just 7 years. You know, we come behind twice. The spoils were shared from that dramatic North London derby fallout. We now sit alongside Arsenal 4 points behind Man City at the top of the Premier League. Thoughts on the overall game, Rick, now a couple of days on to reflect? What do you make of it?
Mate, you know what? I thought it was a fantastic test for this young side. I mean, we went toe-to-toe. We didn't worry about them. We let them worry about us. You know, and that's what really pleased me about the game. We've gone there before and got draws before, but this was totally different in the sense that that side played with no fear. You know, even when they got knocked, even when there's an own goal or a dodgy pen, and you know things wasn't going our way. You know, the Nketiah could have got a red card for that challenge on Vicario, but none of that stopped us playing. None of that made our heads drop, and none of it affected us mentally or physically. We were just like, okay, cool. Well, you up for the fight? We're up for the fight too. And it never stopped us playing the way that we want to play. It never stopped us playing Ange ball or the Tottenham way, in which I am so encouraged about. And if we can come up against a side that is potentially, going up for the title, and going out there for big honors, and the way all the Gooner pundits were going on and the Gooner fans were going on, like we was going to get slaughtered and demolished. Well, that did not happen. Do you know what I mean? And we did not shy away, or we did not disappear into our shells, being away from home in that ground with their fans, the loudest I've seen in a very, very long time, and we didn't stop. We didn't stop at all, with all of the jibes and the calls and everything, all of the hate that was coming from the Gooner crowd didn't affect us at all. Saka doing the darts didn't affect us at all. In fact, it fired up Maddison, it fired up the boys, and it fired the whole team up to kind of go out there and show not only the Gooners, but every pundit, every fan of every single team that we're here to be counted. And you better start fearing us when you come up against us, rather than us think about you and what dangers you possess. So that's what really pleased me about the game. And to come away with that draw, I think we gained more from that draw than what the Gooners did. I think the Gooners lost a lot more than those 2 points in the draw that they got. For us, I think we gained more. We gained belief in the system. We gained belief in the Ange way again, and we gained belief in the fact that we can play this way against top sides that can counter, that do have pace, that do press high, and that do play attacking football. We can still play our way, and we can go out there and get results. And what's really encouraging again is that this side is in its infancy. It's in the very early stages of them finding their feet and finding their way, and believing in the system and believing in the way. And that game there, I think we gained so much from it. And I think it's going to push these boys on week in, week out. And I'm so excited to see these boys play now. And I can't wait week in, week out to see them play and to see what turns up. And I'm not afraid or fearful of anyone we come up against right now, because even more so because of that display on the weekend.
Yeah, do you know what, Rick? I've got to agree with you there. There is almost that feeling now of that, as you say, a fearless mentality that's kind of running through the squad at the moment. And look, most certainly with every obstacle Spurs overcome, and the next one, of course, being Liverpool, that expectancy will get greater and greater and greater. And that pressure will as well. And it'll be interesting to see how this young Spurs side can most certainly handle it. Matt, to bring you in. It's quite ironic when you look at the difference to last season's encounters between both, which you could say were exacerbated, of course, with that sending off of Emerson Royale. It was like night and day when you compare both of those performances. Spurs on that occasion, they had just 35% of the possession and only attempted 307 passes to Arsenal's 565. They just had 7 shots to Arsenal's 22 on that occasion. But when you look at Spurs on this time around, the fact of how they took control, I would say, from the 35th minute onwards, they ended the first half with 61% possession. They out-pressed, they out-fought, they out-tackled Arsenal. It was a different Spurs side. It was one that, for the first time, dare I say, going back to the man who shall not be mentioned, 2019, Spurs literally went to Arsenal with the game plan of, we're going to attack them and we're going to try and take the game to Arsenal. And I think the thing that comes out of that, don't you agree, is that I think Spurs have gained a lot of respect, not actually just from Arsenal supporters, but from the wider consensus of the public, that Spurs have shown against a decent Arsenal side who, let's be fair, they were missing players, of course, Martinelli, Trossard, they lost Rice in the second half. You could arguably say Spurs, you maybe come away disappointed, Matt. We didn't take all 3 points. What did you make of it for you?
Yeah, I made that exact point straight after the game, that going into it, I would have bitten your hand off for a point. And I think we could be top of the table, Arsenal will be bottom, and we go to the Emirates, and I'd still kind of bite your hand off for a point, because it's just that type of fixture where all sort of form and all sort of quality just goes out the window. It's 90 minutes of 11 against 11. But coming out of that game, I was quite frustrated that we didn't go on and get the win, and not in a sense that I think we should have done better, in the sense that I think we did do enough to deserve that victory and to deserve to go on and get that winning goal in the last 20 minutes. But I have to agree with everything that Ricky said there at the start, and everything you said there too as well, other Ricky. Like everything about that performance was exactly what we want Tottenham to be. And going into the game, I know Postecoglou said it last week that we were going to play it our way. We weren't going to change the way we approach this game just because it's away to Arsenal, just because we're so early on in this new style of football that we're going to play. We're going to go there and we're going to do it. And I think that respect that we have gained from opposition fans, from pundits, from even Mikel Arteta said it himself after the game, how well coached we are. Aside from that respect that we're getting, I think the confidence that those players are going to have in themselves, knowing that they can go to the Emirates, to the team who finished second in the Premier League last season and play so well in the way that we did, that confidence for them is going to be absolutely huge. Mickey van de Ven did an interview with NBC after the game, and he was talking about it. It's a fantastic interview. It gives brilliant insight into how Ange treats these players, and he made the point that if he gives away the ball on the pitch in a dangerous position and a chance comes from it, what Postecoglou says to him is do it again, try it again, keep going, keep playing that way. And that trust that those players know the manager have in them is going to give them even more confidence. And I know we had a few kind of sticky moments. I think it was Udogie played a back pass to 𝐂𝐤𝐿, that 𝐂𝐤𝐿 got in, he had a chance saved, and of course 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐞𝐧𝐭 getting the ball off Maddison at the edge of the box. But we didn't shy away from it. The mentality that's kind of been lacking from that Spurs team in the last couple of years, it's completely different. It's completely flipped. And like you said, it's night and day from when we played them at the Emirates last season. And it's just so refreshing to see. And the best part about that for me is, going into this game, Arsenal fans had said, if they pass out from the back, we're going to batter them. You didn't. If they press us like they press other teams, you're going to batter us. Well, actually, we scored from it. And they always go on, they did a lot last season about how young their team is. Our team on Sunday was younger. Their team had an average age of 25 years. Ours was 24.7. You have players in there who are so new to the Premier League. Some new signings, some that we signed in the past, but are still kind of making their first few starts in the league with Udogie, with Sarr, Van de Ven, Vicario, the whole way up that football pitch. And if this is the beginning of what we can build under this manager, what's coming is going to be really, really exciting. And of course, there's still a lot of work to do with the squad and kind of adding a little bit of depth and filling out that squad. But to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, and I hate sitting here speaking as though Arsenal are this much better, much bigger club than us, because they're not. But the fact is, in the last 12, 18 months, they have been a lot better than us. But that playing field seems to have been completely levelled, and that happened in their own backyard. So I think there's so many positives to take from that game. And I've been trying to look for not trying to look for negatives, but trying to look for a bit of balance in terms of what maybe we didn't do well and what we could have improved on Sunday. And I haven't really been able to find anything.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, to bring you in, I mean, I say you were here with us last week when we were looking ahead to the game with the brilliant Lee judges. It's not often I call an Arsenal fan brilliant, but Lee was superb on this show. Again, very, very honest. And he said to the point that, he was respecting Spurs going into because of how well Spurs had started under Ange Postecoglou. And again, I think the fact of the matter is that there were Arsenal fans really irate after the game that, quite frankly, Spurs in large periods outplayed them in the most, again, honest way I say that, because, I think everyone going into that game, I think many neutral fans were expecting Arsenal to most certainly beat Spurs. And I think even when Arsenal went ahead twice in that game, I think you saw on the touchline from the celebrations from Arteta, I think they maybe felt they had enough and that was going to be enough. But Spurs fighting their way back twice. And I'd love to get your thoughts on it, Chris. You've been obviously very much championing behind, and of course, one of our own, for different reasons of the heritage as well, that, he's so cool and calm and composed on that touchline that does seem to also transcend and rub off on the players. I don't know if you'd agree with that every player, despite the fact of going twice behind, they were calm, they were composed, they knew their jobs. And dare I say, even when Arsenal did score the first goal, there was this confidence from Tottenham where they took control of the game. And even, dare I say, again, when it went 2-1 down, I don't think anyone felt Spurs couldn't get back into it. Do you feel Ange is playing a huge pivotal point? How proud were you of that performance from the players?
Look, I'm going to start this off because I was really happy when I came on here and did the preview with Lee, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He was so honest, and it was really nice to hear like an Arsenal fan be that honest, and he was just really real. And I've seen a different side to that guy. So if anyone hasn't seen that that show, do watch it just purely to see Lee, because he was absolutely brilliant. I actually recently as well, just before the game, I was able to do a little interview before, and I spoke to a hell of a lot of Gooners. I was basically the only Spurs fan that was there, and everyone was just very confident. I've never heard so many Arsenal fans that were so confident in the fact that they were going to absolutely tear us apart. And you know what? I sat there, I was like, It's absolutely fine. I'm happy to listen to you being confident because I'm sitting here and all I want to do right now is watch Tottenham play. I just want to see them go out there and play good football. Whatever the result is, if they go out there and, you know, do what they can do best, then I'll be happy. That was how I felt during that time. Oh my gosh. Afterwards with the draw, and we were happy with the performance because I was absolutely proud to be a Tottenham fan after that game because I have never, ever seen that Tottenham team play that well at that South London team area, whatever it is, because honestly, it was brilliant. And the amount of abuse, the amount of comments from Arsenal fans, oh, you're celebrating a draw. Oh, this means obviously nothing to you. You know what, blah, blah. It meant a hell of a lot to me. And you know what? We should have won. We should have 100% won that game. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It was a missed opportunity. And you know what? You could actually tell from the players, which I think is a huge positive, they were not happy themselves either with the fact that they came out just a draw. It was beautiful in my eye. But the fact that it even wound the Gooners up even more, that it was just, it was a draw. It was stunning. So I was absolutely happy with that performance. And, I'm going to quote with what Ange said. I've even written it here. I don't believe in ceilings. Let's see where it takes us. And that's exactly what is happening right now, guys. It is stunning to watch us right now. And you know what? It's just, we have been watching Tottenham all this time and it has been draining. It is life-sucking. It has just been so horrific. And I'm paying loads of money to go and see these games to watch like this draining football. Now I am so excited for the next one. It is just, it's unbelievable with how much has changed under Ange. Another person to even mention, I think, is Sonny as well, that I think we should, discuss, at some point, because I really think he's brought the team together. Him being captain as well, I really feel he's made this whole team bond together, and it's absolutely beautiful yet again. The fact that there was comments even before last season about what is he doing? He's rubbish. Let's sell him. Can you imagine if we did sell him? Where the hell would we be without Sonny? He is got Tottenham running through his blood, that boy.
Loves the club, doesn't he, Chris? Loves the club.
Absolutely love it. Sorry, I keep going on. I'll be quick as I can. Another thing with Sonny as well, I honestly think him being on our team, he has created a bigger fan base for us as well. With all these Koreans I've seen, they are amazing fans. The amount of money that they must bring, I don't know, like coming and traveling, just to come and see Tottenham, I think is absolutely fantastic. And I'm all here for it. I love I've chatted to a lot of these Korean fans. They're honestly one of the most they're so lovely. And I love it that so many fans are now getting to know us from outside of England. And even with Ange now, you're getting more Australians, you're getting some Greeks coming in. And you know what? Fans that are now coming to get to know Tottenham from outside here, you're literally starting a beautiful journey with Ange Ball now. So perfect time to come and start supporting Tottenham. So that's what I had to say.
I think the only thing I would say, I'm sure Rick will qualify this and so will you guys, is that it's not always as plain sailing as this. There are tough times ahead. I'll just send the link of Rick after the AC Milan game, shall I, Rick?
No, don't do it, bro. Don't do it.
I must ask, Rick, just to bring you on what Chris is saying there, just on Ange, because again, the fact of the matter is, I think we've all been pleasantly surprised by the start, because I think the feeling was, and you obviously was here during the summer where we did a lot of the friendly reviews, and we were of the mindset that, look, this might take a bit of time. It might not all happen overnight. There are going to be bumps in the road. Do you think on that basis, Rick, are you really surprised by the fact of how Spurs have started the season? When I say to the fact, when you look at our form, we're sitting there, 14 points, 4 points off Man City at the top, in that top four at the moment. Are you really, really surprised by this start, Rick? Could you have seen it coming based on what you saw over the summer? And of course, the fact of losing, who, of course, obviously the star striker of the football club, the change of the squad. And I think it's bizarre when I read a stat, I think only 2 or 3 players actually had started the previous North London derby. So you're looking at a massive changeover in squad as well. And also, I think mentality is a big key. I mean, tell me, Rick, are you surprised by this start under Ange?
Yeah, massively. I'm surprised at how quickly they've taken to it. I mean, we all know what cloud we was left under at the end of last season, and it was next level. Do you know what I mean? I really did. It wasn't just the football; it was all the staff and the club and the management and the directors and the fans. And there was such kind of just a darkness hanging over us. And we knew that we especially over the summer, we didn't have one problem to solve. We had like 101 problems to solve. There were so many things that Ange had to come in and deal with. You know, there was no Paratici. You know, we was gonna sell 𝐅𝐸𝐿. We needed we all knew, and we've all been asking for a turnover of the squad and a freshness of the squad, because there was a lot within that squad at the end of last season that had been through those three managers, Conte, Mourinho, and Nuno, and you know, they had the hangover of that. And we needed something fresh. We needed something new, and for it to have happened so quickly, you know, it has actually been quite phenomenal. So massive respect to Big Ange. I mean, everything that he said since he's come in, and you've got to remember, and I know Matty Hayes knows this one as well, but you got to remember, like, you know, we was all, I mean, me especially, you know, I was all on the Chelsea manager coming back to Tottenham. You know, that was my plan. In number 2, it was Nagelsmann. In number 3, it was Slot. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, Ange Postecoglou was not on my list at all. Even when he was mentioned, I dismissed it. But it just shows you that not only with players, but with managers too, they have to fit your club. You know, you have to get the right ones that fit your club. We saw Ndombele play, you know, for, I can't remember who it was. Who was it in France? I think it was Rennes. I can't remember. Or Lyon. I can't remember. Yeah, but you know, he was unbelievable in the Champions League before we bought him. We bought him, and in a Tottenham shirt, he's just never turned up. You know, Conte the same. Everywhere he's gone, he's won, right? But in a Tottenham shirt with a cockerel on his chest, couldn't do it. Same with Mourinho, even though arguably he would argue that he got sacked 5-6 days before a final, and who would have knows what would have happened then. The fact of the matter is, it didn't happen. And you know, so to have somebody like Ange come in and do it with such class, such humility, such kind of just straightforward messages, you know, speaking to you as a person rather than you, as an asset, or rather than expecting, because we've shelled out X amount of money on you, that you need to be delivering this. You know, he didn't do any of that. He got straight to the core. And I've said this before, and I know this might kind of upset some fans out there, but I think Ryan Mason has got a lot to do with how quickly it's kind of got better and rejuvenated. You know, when he took over at the end of last season, he only had like 3-4 games, I think, before the end of the season. But you know, some of the comments that he was coming out with was like, it's not just the football side that we had to worry about. There was a personal side. And when you hear little reports over the summer that if Conte would have stayed, Romero was thinking about leaving, and a couple of others were thinking about leaving, it says to you that there was a lot that we don't know about. There's a lot that has happened behind scenes, and there was a lot of kind of toxicity and kind of negative energy and kind of darkness happening around that squad and around that team, where they didn't want to turn up, they didn't want to play, they didn't want to do what was asked of them. They got bored of it the same way we got bored of it. You know, always kind of retreating into this kind of counter-attacking system where everybody was behind the ball and waiting for a counter-attack, or playing that horseshoe, boring-ass football. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they had enough of it as well. And so when Ryan's come in and he went back to 4-2-3-1, he kind of wanted to play the ball forward. He wanted to play a bit attacking. You saw that there was a little bit of joy amongst the squad. And he even though we didn't get the results at that point, he kind of kept that joy and he kept that feeling of what it is to be Tottenham going up until Ange turned up. And then he's joined the staff as well. He's joined as a coach as well. So the boys at Tottenham that are there, they can trust in somebody that they know, that has been about, that knows the Tottenham way, that knows which way that they want to play too. And then you've got a manager that embodies that way. And obviously he's got little tweaks. It's not just flair football. He has his tweaks and he has his way of playing, and you can see it's a chaotic but fluid and structured system. that he's put together that absolutely works for this Tottenham side. To have players like, Udogie come back and hit the ground running as he did, to go out there with our scouts and find Mickey van der Ven, that Ange kind of put the rubber stamp on, to go out there and get a young keeper that nobody had heard of, that everybody was doubting, and rightfully so at the time, because of course we were linked with Raya, and the fact that we saw Raya and saw what he could do, we knew as Tottenham fans, if he was to come in, that's what he's going to do, and we can expect a bit more out of him. But somebody that was unknown, we didn't have a clue what we was going to get. Them old tropes come back out of, is this another cheap signing? Is this? But the scouts have done tremendous to bring him in, and Sarr being able to start games and express himself as a young player. Bissouma, the fact that he didn't get no game time last year, the fact that he, the comments that came out about Conte was that he wasn't ready technically. He wasn't up to the standard of what was required as a Conte player. It's criminal. Because you look at him now and they're all flying, to get the lockpicker that we needed for years and years and years, that you've been asking for, Ricks, in Maddison, that has totally changed the way we've played. And losing Harry Kane and not letting that have an effect on us either. The fact that it's galvanized us, the fact that it's brought us together, the fact that we are now not a quote unquote one man team. We are a team. We're literally playing for each other. Everyone's playing for their man to the left, to the right, in front and behind. We're together in everything. And you saw that the way that they responded to going down to those goals against the Gooners in that game. You saw that you saw their reaction, you saw their determination. And you also saw when it got to the end of that game, when 10 minutes went up, not only were the Gooners cheering, but every single Tottenham fan was cheering, because we knew that we was going to go for it again, and we were not going to stop. The fact that the manager can come in and say, we never stop, that is music to my ears, and I know it's music to all of our ears. So it's been a tremendous surprise that Ange has been able to come in and do it this quickly. And like I said, it's in its infancy. It's only going to get better. And every little mistake that we make is only going to be a mistake, because we're going to learn from that mistake, turn it into a football life lesson, and we're going to look to not make that mistake again. So the sky is the limit. Like Christina said there, no ceiling. And he also said no flaws. Do you know what I mean? No ceiling, no flaws. It is about the sky is the limit. And it's, as long as these boys believe in themselves, believe in each other, believe in the manager, and have that roar and that energy from us lot, the fans in the stands and at home, then the sky is the absolute limit for this side. And I'm so excited to see it. Well done, Ange.
Rick, I've got to say, it's lovely hearing you speak like this about, a Spurs side. And I have to go back, bless you, you was here right at the infancy of Last Word On Spurs back in 2017, 2018. And you kind of took me back to obviously how you were talking back then. It's like saying it has been difficult the last 4 years to try and even talk the way you're talking about football. It must feel so refreshing. And the smiles on all of our faces as it all at the moment. It's a really lovely time to be a fan. Matt, to bring you in. This is just to kind of bring a bit of balance to it if I can. Because the only thing I would say, Matt, is on the basis of the weekend. And again, looking at maybe the drop-off when you look at what we've got in the first team in terms of those 13, 14 to then some of the squad options bench-wise. It may be unfair to start picking out players at this moment, given the way we've started the season. But my only worry is, Matt, that I'd say we've got a good 13, 14 players, a nucleus, but an injury to centre-back, and we are then back down to, look, Ashley Phillips might be a really good player. Then obviously with Ashley, you've got Eric Dyer there as well. You've got certain like Ryan Sessegnon at left back. Obviously, if Udogie was to get injured, obviously we've got Ivan Perisic now. Does it concern you, Matt, that we're in a situation where we've got 13, 14 players, and quite arguably, we know we've got obviously no European football. Obviously, we know we're not in the Carabao Cup because we're recording on a Carabao Cup night. Do you think we've got enough, Matt, to kind of battle through until January potentially, and then maybe look to add one or two? Because I think the thing is, how we're all feeling at the moment is that we are riding the crest of a wave. We are really, really excited. We don't want anything to stop us in terms of the momentum that we're on. Do you think we've got enough, Matt, now to kind of get us through until at least January? We can hopefully add a couple, and then who knows what this season can bring? Because I think maybe, I don't know if you agree, I know Ange refused to answer that question, Matt, about being ahead of schedule. I think when you speak to a lot of Spurs fans, it feels like we are in terms of the brand of football that we're playing, in terms of results at the moment. How do you feel about that particular scenario, about that squad that we've got at the moment, Matt?
Yeah, look, we all said it at the end of the transfer window, and Postecoglou said it himself after he brought in Mickey van de Ven that ideally we get in another centre back. I think it was Ashley Phillips and another. It was clear that he did want another first team option, and it's easy to forget that with the positivity that we're seeing on the pitch. Obviously, with the exception of that game against Fulham, when we're playing as well as we are, when Mickey van de Ven is looking like he's been playing in this league for 25 years already, it's easy to overlook that. But it is something that's still niggling at the back of my mind. And when people ask me my expectations for Tottenham for this season, I still say if we finish top 6, it's good, it's progress, because I know, like you said there are those players that are the nucleus of that team, and for me to list them out, I think if we lose any of Vicario, Romero, Van de Ven, Davis, Basuma, Maddison, Son, any of them, I don't think they're replaceable. If Power gets injured, Emerson can come in, and it won't be to the same standard, I think, in that position. But he's a good option, and he showed in games already that he can play that system. In midfield, we have, I think Basuma is just in his own league, both in terms of style and quality. But we have Sarr and Bentancur who can rotate if it is needed. And on those forward options, we have Solomon, we have Johnson, we have 𝐂𝐤𝐧𝐭𝐬𝐿, we have Richarlison, who's hopefully going to be able to come into a little bit of form. But those main players that I mentioned at the start, I think if we lose any of those, the drop off is absolutely huge. The one thing that I am happy about, and I think it's very clear with the fact that we've seen Phillips on the bench a little bit more than Eric Dyer this season. If we do get an injury in those positions, Postecoglou isn't going to play it safe. He's not going to throw Eric Dyer in centre back just because he's the next most experienced. He's not going to throw Lo Celso in centre attack in mid just because he's the most experienced player that fits there. He will play Ashley Phillips. He will play a JB Donnelly or whoever it is. He will go for those youth players if he thinks they're better suited to that system and better suited to that style. And I'd much rather see that than play Eric Dyer. And I'm just naming him as a name, nothing personally against him, but I don't think he's suited to this system. So I don't want to see players who aren't suited to the system, even if we do have to go a bit more inexperienced, maybe a bit less quality overall, but better suited to what we need to do. So there will be positives if it does come to that. But if I remember correctly, we have one game a week until the 16th of December, which is when the midweek fixtures for Christmas start coming in. So between now and then, that's 2.5 months. That's factoring in international breaks, 8-9 Premier League games. If we can fully go at them, not pick up any big injuries, I know Maddison has had a couple of knocks, but if he can stay fit enough to start games for those 8 or 9, if we win 5 or 6, if we're 5, 6, 7 points clear in that top 4 by that point, that's an absolutely amazing buffer to have going into that busier part of the season. And even if it is busier for us, there are other teams who are going to be even busier, the teams who are in Europe, the teams who are in the Carabao Cup. So against the teams that we want to be directly fighting for, no matter what, we're going to have a much lighter fixture list. We're going to have much fewer games to contend with. And aside from the fitness side of things and the potential injuries, what's also huge with that is the fact that we're going to have a lot more time to prepare for games. And I know when you're looking at professionals who are earning millions and millions of pounds a year who do this for a living, you wouldn't think a couple of days makes that much of a difference. But look at that first season with Conte. Towards the end of that season, after we got knocked out of the Champions League, we had one game a week for, I think 2 or 3 months, and we were absolutely unstoppable. We were phenomenal. We tactically outclassed absolutely everybody. We've been doing that this season already with one game a week. There's no reason that wouldn't continue. So there are loads of those positives that we can play around with, but I think it will come back to bite us, in my opinion, that we didn't attract a centre back. I never thought we could get Van de Ven and Tapsoba because both how expensive they were, but also the fact that they're both good enough to play first team football. I don't think one of them would have come to Spurs to be second fiddle. So I'm not going to hold that against the club, but I think someone else could have been brought in if it was a Tosin Adarabioyo, who I think we spoke about on every show over the summer, Ricky, just someone with a bit more Premier League experience. He was also suited to that system.
Yeah.
But again, I do have to mention that Rome isn't built in a day. You look at, like you mentioned there, that North London derby last season compared to this season. Is it do you say only 2 players were the same? That's an absolutely insane, ridiculous change in personnel, and it's hugely. I have to give massive credit to Postecoglou, to the scouting team, for the board for being able to get that done. I think until we have another year or two where we can start to build that up, we will run the risk of having a few bad kind of spells, but there's nothing you can do about that. You can't sign a whole new squad, but in terms of finances and realistically, you're not going to get 18 players that are good enough for your squad in 1 or 2 windows. So there's a lot that still needs to be done, but like I couldn't have said it better than Ricky did a few minutes ago. The basis and the platform and the foundation is there, and I think that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, Chris, I want to ask you if I can. Expectations a big thing now, right? Dealing with the fact that it's trying to essentially, I might have lost you there, guys. Sorry about that there. Essentially about trying to deal with expectation, right, from obviously other opposing fans and obviously media outlets. You know, we've heard Paul Merson very much beforehand, you know, saying Spurs would be torn apart up at the Emirates. And then you're seeing just only a couple of days later, the fact that, you know, these are in their words in terms of the media. How do you think, Chris, that we will deal with the fact that if this form does continue and that, again, from the outside looking in, that pressure does start to grow, do you think we've got the capabilities to better handle that pressure from the media?
I mean, there's a huge amount of media that's going on at the moment, especially with Ange, which kind of makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie, because it's like everyone's sending out all these positive things. And it's unusual for a big media people to talk about Tottenham in a positive way, because it's always negative. It's always Spursy. So, do you know what? It's just a bit weird, because I feel like if something wrong does happen, like if there's a game where we lose, I'm scared like everyone's just going to go in and just attack Ange, like, because it's just, it's typical Spursy all over again. But in all honesty, I think we need to ignore like all of that stuff anyway. But when it comes to like, you know, with our team at the moment, I really was, I don't know about how you guys felt that moment with Maddison. My heart was in my mouth. I generally thought he was done. I thought as well, if we actually did keep him on, I felt like there could have been actually a good chance maybe that we could have actually got another goal at that point.
Same as Son as well. I mean, I'll be honest
Son
with you.
as well. I was a bit concerned as to why they actually why he was
Came
changed.
off.
Son, but
Yeah.
with Maddison, I got the impression that probably Ange panicked a little bit, just like us, and thought, I'm not going to risk it anymore. Just take him off because I can't risk losing him. Because it honestly, without Maddison, we are a different team. It's a fact. Like, he is playing such a huge role as number 10. So it is a very big worry. We need to have some backup, but I do believe Ange knows all of this 100%. So I stand by with whatever he sees now, because I believe with Brennan Johnson, you know, I saw a lot of mixed reviews based on him. I couldn't really have an opinion because I don't really know too much about how he plays, but I believe someone came on here and said that was actually an Ange signing. I can't remember who it was. Someone on the it might have been Bridgie, I think. But anyways, so he's an Ange signing, and to me, I feel comfortable about that, because if he sees something in him, and that is how Ange is playing right now, 100% take whoever he wants exactly. So I have full faith in that. That's huge to have so much faith in the manager like that, you know. So I do think he knows exactly the areas and who the people that he wants to go for. We are now bringing in so many young people. It's making this future brighter at Tottenham. So me, to be honest, I think the younger it is, there's just so much potential in where this team and where this club could go. And we really are planning ahead. And that's exactly what I love to see, because it just felt like we've just been in the air. We don't really know what the plan is. There's been no objective, you know, there's just been nothing. And I really do feel like Tottenham have got themselves sorted out now. They're just arranging a lot more. I feel like, you know, people are now looking more deeply as to who we should be buying. It's names that we don't even hit. Same with Ange. I had no clue who he was. Whenever he was brought up, again, like Ricky, I couldn't have an opinion because I didn't really know anything about the guy. And now look at him. It's incredible to see. And this guy has not even been in the Premier League. Like, it's incredible. So, you know, the fact that this is early, it is early. So I can't get too excited. But for now, I'm enjoying it 100%. And I'm sucked into this completely. But yeah, it is early days still, but I feel we have got that trust back with the team and with the club. So I'm here for it.
Absolutely. No, listen, I do totally agree with that. I must apologise. My Wi-Fi is about as reliable as well, I don't know what it's as reliable as at the moment. I was going to make an inference there. But I don't want to say that because it comes back to haunt us at the weekend.
I thought you was going to say like my timekeeping there, Rick. That's what I thought you was going to say.
I was going to, Rick, but I didn't want to push my luck. I didn't want to make someone even more negligent than what I've been so far during this show. Look, Joe, I think it's fair to say things are on a high right now, and a lovely segue Chris just gave me there into the fact that she talks about the fact we're planning for the future. Tottenham quite literally are. Spurs have announced the signing this week of the highly rated Croatian teenager Luka Vušković in a 12 million deal from Hijack Split, where the youngster said he's honoured to make the move to the Premier League side. Now, we know Spurs have fought off a huge amount of European competition for the player. That includes the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, PSG. With City also reported at the time, I believe, to put a bid of around 10 million plus an additional 2 million add-ons. That was firmly rejected. Spurs have now got him for around 12 million, in which the Croatian side have described as the biggest outgoing transfer in their history, and what they claim has made the 16-year-old the most expensive defender in terms of that age of the history of football, which is quite actually amazing when you think about that. You know, due to FIFA rules, he'll have to wait until he can arrive in England in 2025 when he's 18, and he has signed a deal which runs until 2030. We understand he has now returned to the Croatian side where he will continue to develop. He's 6'4". He's a big, big lump. You know, he's played 11 appearances already for the first team, despite his age. Matt, if I can ask you very, very quickly on this guy, because 𝐂𝐤𝐳𝐿, who of course obviously is at City now, he said he's developing excellently. I hope he's one that will develop into a top centre-back. I don't think he needs my advice. He's to keep on doing what he's doing. I hope that one day we'll play together. Obviously, he's referring to the fact as a compatriot in the national team. But this guy is very, very highly rated. And again, when you take into account for Tottenham, you look at the likes of they've now got a 𝐂𝐤𝐳𝐿, Ashley Phillips, Jude Sunset-Bell, and now Luka Vušković, all signed in the last, 10, 11 months, all under 19. You add to that as well, Spurs, of course, they tied down Mikey Moore to a new deal. Dane Scarlett's got a new long-term contract as well. It does feel, Matt, if you agree, there's been a major shift in the strategy when it comes to the academy, which is great because it goes back to what Chris says really about planning for the future, right?
It's so exciting to hear you list out those players and list out those options. And Ricky touched on it a few minutes ago about the managers that we brought in the last 4 or 5 years. And Daniel Levy himself mentioned it in the fan forum where he was saying that they weren't Spurs. You know, I think we were trying to sign players, we were trying to bring in managers to be the club that we wanted to be rather than managers for the club that we are. And I do think that happened a little bit with recruitment for a while as well. And yes, it was down to those managers, you know, bringing in some older players, some more experienced players. It has worked out with some like Ivan Perisic and Fraser Forster, but there were a lot of signings there that just weren't Tottenham. These signings are 100% Tottenham through and through. This is what we love. This is what we're about, bringing in these young, exciting players. And my favorite thing about this transfer, as much as, you know, when you bring in a new player, you want to see him in the jersey, you want to see him out in the pitch. But I think the best thing for this kid's development is that he stays where he is. You don't want to be disrupting his development when he's just broken into first team football. Like you said, 11 appearances. It would be a bit too much of a disruption really for him to then have to come over to Spurs, and then he's obviously not going to be in our first team and having to go through the youth system again. So to be able to keep that kind of consistency and playing with that first team over in Croatia, that's going to be fantastic for him. And everything about him is just so exciting. You know, like you said, he's so highly rated. He's the youngest player to play in the Croatian top division. I think it was 3 days after his 16th birthday that he actually made his debut for them. He then played in the biggest derby in Croatia. A few weeks after that, he scored his first goal. So there's so many different records that he has where he's the youngest to do it in Croatia and in Hajduk Split's history. And you know, you can't really ignore that. So it's a really good one to bring in. And like you mentioned, all the other players that we have there with Sunset-Bell, with Elise, with Phillips. I was only speaking about this actually yesterday with someone at work. When you look at our under-21 team, last season the Premier League 2 was split into 2 divisions. We got relegated from the first division down to the second division. Now since then, those divisions have been merged, so it's all one league, and we're top of that league. We're top of a league that we got relegated from last year, essentially. We won 5 games out of 5. The under-21s went to Colchester last week in the EFL Trophy. It was a bit of a rotated side by Colchester, but they scored 5 goals away against a professional side. They're playing football the proper way, the Tottenham way. Everything is looking so good for this youth system right now. And the most important thing, the best thing about it all is they have a manager in charge of that first team that they know is going to give them an opportunity if they deserve it. We're not going to have any managers that I'm not going to name using them as cones in training sessions. Not going to say who it was, Antonio. We have a manager who's going to give them those opportunities, and that is absolutely crucial to their confidence and their ability to go out and play the way they know how to play, because they will get that opportunity. And I'm sure that was a massive factor in Vušković choosing to come to Spurs and ignoring the interest from PSG, from Man City, from these teams who are the biggest, the best in Europe. Because I think there is that vision that Tottenham could potentially become that in the next few years. And Spurs are back, Ricky. Spurs are back.
Yeah, you know what, it's lovely you said that. I mean, he had some lovely words actually enjoying the club. He said, first of all, I want to thank 𝐼𝐸𝐿 for making this possible. The coaches have contributed to my development, the people from the academy, the employees of the club. He said, in the past months, I was aware of the interest of big clubs from abroad. I tried to stay on the ground, train and prepare for new challenges. It's a great honour to see a club like Tottenham have shown a desire and put in so much effort to bring in a player of my age. This makes me proud. It's certainly a motive for me to even work harder on my development and further progress in order to be ready as soon as possible for the moment when I can play for their first team. He added on Instagram, it's a great honour and privilege to be part of this great club. I will work and train hard to play for Tottenham one day. It's lovely words there from, again, a young guy. Look, I don't want to put massive pressure on him. He's only 16. But look, completing his move to the football club. For Tottenham, of course, the fact that Spurs announced it on the official website, it tells you a lot about just how big this move is for the football club. So look, very, very exciting times there. One thing I do also want to give a quick mention to, obviously there's this tag that I don't really use on Last Word On Spurs because I detest and hate it and sick of it. But it's the fact of the word Spursy. That I've never liked that word, to be honest with you. It's just something I've never really accustomed to or grown in. And the fact that now we've had this stat come out this week that Spurs' unbeaten start to life under Ange, Rick, coming over to you. I think Spurs are now can be labelled the comeback kings. We've now claimed the most amount of points from losing positions than any side in the Premier League era. That saw us edge in front of Manchester United at the top of that respective table. And I think when you look at the fact this season we've collected 8 points from losing positions, that amounts to a total of 57% of our total points at this stage. So for a side that's labelled bottlers and labelled Spursy and labelled as flimsy and soft underbelly Tottenham, we're certainly not that narrative when you look at the fact of just where Spurs stand in that chart now, right at the very top, Rick.
No, and all those people that love to kind of say those tropes and kind of spew those tropes, they're gonna have to eat their own words real soon. I mean, another one that used to really get me is that song. I don't even want to, but like, you know, get battered everywhere. You know that one?
Yeah.
That one really kind of, yeah, I really didn't like that one either. But you can't sing that now. If you're gonna sing that about anybody, sing it about Chelsea. Just quick little dig there. All right, I didn't mean it. I kind of did. But yeah, you know, like this side under this management, with this new kind of style and these new sets of players, you can't hold the past against this future. You can't. You know, we've found our way again. Like as Matty said, you know, we've got our Tottenham back. And we've got a side that without a manager being told to say, we're going to make you proud, we actually feel proud every day, you know, after every result. And you know which one got me as well? It was, this is when I really knew. It was against Sheffield United. Now, so the whole Sheffield game, you know, we dominated the game. We played great. We had shots on target. We had domination of possession, and we was on them left, right, and centre. And you know, they go up the other side, score a good but lucky goal against the runner play and all of that. And in previous seasons gone by, we all know and we all felt it in our soul that would have been it. That would have been the result. It would have been 1-0 Sheffield United, and you know, we would have had to go back to the drawing board and do the rondos on Monday and all of that jazz. You know, getting back to work with the workout videos and stuff like that. And that did not happen. We didn't stop. We continued to play the Ange way. We continued to play the Tottenham way. And we continued to play without fear. It didn't stop us making that risky pass or kind of having that flair turn or, you know, going on the offensive. We continued, and we battered down them doors. And in the 98th, 99th minute or whatever minute it was, we come up with a 2-1. You know what I mean? We scored both goals really late on in that game. And we could have settled for the draw after Richarlison scored that goal, but we didn't. You know what I mean? We went, no, let's go again. And every one of us felt it. I felt it in my soul. I'm like, go. We're going to get another one. And that's what's changed right now. So all of those pundits that want to kind of underestimate us, that see us as underdogs, I'm really happy with that. Let them spew all that rubbish. Let them spew Spursy. Let them spew that, all right, yeah, cool. You might be playing fantastic football, but what are you going to win this year and all of that, Jack? I don't care. I don't care. Let them, because it's going to be shoved right in their face real soon, where it's undeniable. I remember seeing a pundit. I won't name him. I really want to. I remember seeing a pundit back in the previous Chelsea manager when he used to, be at White Hart Lane.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I know it's what.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. That one. And we were playing fantastic at that stage, and it took it being so undeniable that the pundits had to say, "Oh, they're playing well," or "They're doing good things," but they really didn't want to. Do you know what I mean? There was week in, week out, whether it was commentator or pundit, they weren't there. They couldn't wait to kind of put us down and put that Spursy tag back on us. And it's going to happen as well. Those that are holding the Spursy tag on all of these tags and all of these kind of these negative tropes, they're all holding them in their inside pocket, waiting for us to fall. And don't think they're not going to come out. They will. Like Christina said there, as soon as we lose one, or we lose a couple, that they're all going to come straight back out. But it's that is not a reflection of Tottenham right now. Right now, we're a totally different side. Right now, them boys that kind of take up the challenge from 1 to 11 on that field right now, they're not kind of constrained by those tropes. They're not. Yep. They haven't been tarnished with those tropes. They're there to set the record straight, and they're there to realign the record and kind of send us back on this new trajectory. That's why I am super excited about this side. And you know what? Like Christina was saying a bit earlier about Sonny being the captain, absolutely perfect guy to be a captain and to captain a young side. There's not a player out there that doesn't love Sonny. Did you see how many Gooners were hugging him before the game, during the game? They were all talking to him on the sideline. Everybody loves Sonny. And to have somebody like that who not only takes responsibility for the club, for the pressures of taking on the mantle of Harry Kane, for stepping up to the plate. He done it against Man City when Harry was supposed to go Man City that summer, and he was like, "Don't worry, I've got this," and done it at that point until Harry came back into the side, and he's done it again, and he's doing it in such a kind of such an awesome way, because he's leading by example. He's going out there, and not one person that's that is under him, in the sense of he's the captain, wants to disappoint him. They all want to step up to his level. They're all encouraged by him. If somebody does make a mistake, who's the one going up to them going, "No, look, it's all right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going." He's the one that brought out. Have you ever heard another captain? Hugo never done it. Harry never done it when he had the armband on. But Sonny, the first away game, he's like, "You know what? We're going to do the huddle in front of the away fans." Do you know how much of an impact that had? To straight away say to every single fan watching at home that couldn't be there, and the fans in the stand and the players on the field, that we are all together in this. We are as one in this, and we're going for everything. You know what I mean? And we can't go and achieve without you singing and roaring and cheering us on. I think that is a masterstroke of leadership. And then even with the vice captains, you've got 3 different characters there. You've got Sonny, again, who leads by example, who you do not want to upset or displease. You've got the cheeky chappy in Maddison, who can kind of tell you about yourself, but in a jokey way. Come on, sort your passing out, governor. Like, what's wrong? He'll do it in a way in which you laugh, but go, all right, fine. And then if both of those fail, you've got to go and speak to Cootie. And nobody wants to speak to Cootie. Nobody wants to speak to Cootie. If you hear any of them talk about training, everybody hates being up against Romero. Everyone's like, "Oh no, what? No, let me be on Romero. No, what? I'm wearing the pink bib. Do me a favor." Everybody hates it. Do you know what I mean? So you've got 3 different personalities that all bring a winning mentality, but all with different, levels and different flavors of winning and leadership. And that's going to see us and a young side through the bumpy times. That's going to see us achieve more than any pundit could bloody well say. Having that nucleus of leadership that can inspire, that can, kick you up the backside, or that can scare you into going to win. I think that's a beautiful combination. They say like Paratici's cooking or Ange's cooking. Well, with those ingredients, whatever you cook is going to come out dynamite. Let me tell you. Gordon Ramsay-esque, let me tell you. So I, again, just super excited, bro. Super excited about what this side can bring and where we're going and what direction we're going in. Because we finally
Absolutely.
have a direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. Only concern is we're nearly an hour in. We've not even touched upon the wrap that we're here, and that is for Liverpool. So what we are going to do, nearly an hour in, we are going to go for what was meant to be our first break of the show. It is now going to be the break of the show for our listeners' audio. Just to say thank you so much. You've got about 700, 800 of you watching us live here on a night. We're battling live Carabao Cup football, which we should be in. Sorry, I have to say that, which we should be in. But we are going to go for that first break of the show. We're joined by the wonderful Matt Hayes, the brilliant Ricky Norwood, and the superb Christina Zandes. Poor Chris will have to start us off on Liverpool. Please feel for it. So, like I say, bear in mind our record against Liverpool. What was it? 1 win in the last 23. Poor Chris have to go first. Before we do, just a very brief reminder, some housekeeping. It's to thank you, wonderful, lovely, gorgeous people. Tottenham Hotspurs, very, very own independent Last Word On Spurs, has made it into the FCA finalists for Best Podcast in the Premier League. I want to say, firstly, massive thank you for all the support we've had throughout the Tottenham community. It's been really overwhelming this week for the amount of love we've received for not only getting there, but for the votes that you guys have very kindly given us already. If you haven't voted yet and you want to help us get that trophy over the line, come on, make this podcast award-winning. Come and help us secure a trophy. You can do that by going straight to thefootballcontentawards.com/voting/ and of course, vote for Best Podcast Premier League. And obviously, of course, selecting Last Word On Spurs. Can I again say, guys, thank you so much for all your incredible support. Must appreciate it. It's these lovely, beautiful people that, of course, make these shows happen. So again, guys, thank you so much for all your contributions of making this right happen. Okay, Liverpool to come. Where do we start from here? It's a difficult game for sure. What is it? We look at our record against Liverpool overall. I was joking off air to these guys. It's 1 win in the last 23, 21 fixtures. It's not a great record at all. But records, as we've seen, are there to be broken for sure. So, Chris, we're going to start with you. You've been ultra positive tonight. So let's kick off with you. Look, we are, of course, still unbeaten going into this game, of course, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think we can all agree the atmosphere is going to be absolutely rocking in that stadium because, again, it's a late night, of course, under the lights at the stadium. I think fans will be firmly behind Ange, behind the players in what's been, again, a really good start to the season. Chris, tell me, how do you feel we'll approach this game, given the fact Liverpool, I think, are unbeaten in their last 18 games? They've also gone a bit under the radar, given the fact of how they ended last season. They started this one. Any fear in your mind for Liverpool to come at the weekend?
Listen, we said that Arsenal were a test. That was basically GCSE level. This is going to be like the Masters now. Honestly, this is a huge test. We cannot down Liverpool. So they are a strong team. And at the moment as well, I think they just won 3-1. But honestly, they are ridiculous to play. And for some reason, I said it to you guys just before, when we play Liverpool, there's always insane decisions that is made, and it's. I feel like we are cursed by them at some point. Forget out Chelsea. That's done. We're through it. Don't worry. This is another level of curse. It's always happens to us with Liverpool. I do believe, though, guys, the fact that we drew to Arsenal, to me, that says a statement in itself. We're progressing. That was literally the statement. If we are, that's a big if we are to beat Liverpool this weekend at home, I feel like that says that there is a huge potential in us, maybe even going for top 4 this season. I do. Because if we can beat that team, we should be able to beat, those big teams like Liverpool. It's going to be the biggest one, I think, for us so far. It's going to be really difficult, but I think if we continue the way that we are playing and the way, we've been positive, the way Ange as well, the way that he speaks in these, the press and everything, it is absolutely amazing. So I can't even imagine the fact that he has so much faith in himself. I can't imagine what he must say to the players to be able to give themselves faith as well. He gives the fans faith. It's just incredible. So I would 100% take a draw with Liverpool, even at home, because they are going to be a tough call. But a win, to me, that says a hell of a lot about this team and where we are good, where the potential of where we could end up this season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I'm pretty sure it will be, as usual it has been this season. It's damn hard to get a ticket, because I cannot get a ticket right now for the Liverpool game, because it is literally just sold out completely. So yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to be on the case at the Liverpool game. It's going to be an incredible one, hopefully. But it's going to be huge. It's going to be really, really huge. Don't expect, like, you know, if it's a loss, I just want to see good football again. That's what it is. So I can't say, you know, too much.
No, listen, Chris, I appreciate you trying to manage expectations here, because, I mean, Matt, come over to you. You know, it's funny, isn't it? Because if someone said you get 2 points out of Arsenal and Liverpool, I think, because, again, expectations now, people obviously want more than that. You know, again, 4 points would be incredible. I think, again, to come through Liverpool and be unbeaten would show, again, a great test of character. Again, you have to remind yourself of the fact Liverpool are coming into this game on the back of an 18-game unbeaten run. You have to take that into account and factor that for sure. And again, many are asking, when was the last time Spurs beat Liverpool? You have to go all the way back, of course, to that win at Wembley, the 4-1, where it felt like that sliding doors moment between the two clubs. It felt like Liverpool after that game said, you know what, Klopp, we've got to change this. They brought in Alisson, they brought in Van Dijk, and dare I say, we've then seen really a complete sea change between the two football clubs, where Spurs went one way, Liverpool went the other. And yeah, quite honestly, as we've said, we hope Spurs are going to obviously make that gap, we want to hope, reduced, and they're going to bring themselves back into that mix of Liverpool. But it won't be an easy game, Matt. They've got good quality players. There's no doubt about that. Nunez is finding form for them. It's a new look midfield. It's a new look side. And dare I say, it looks like they're rejuvenated under Jurgen Klopp, where they've also had a bit of a refresh. So give me your thoughts, Matt, how we head into Liverpool, and thoughts on the overall game for you.
Yeah, it's a huge game of football, and it's one that is a massive challenge for us. I've been so impressed with Liverpool this season. Everyone and their dog had said that Liverpool needed to improve that midfield over the summer and coming into the season, and it felt like one that was going to be difficult for them to really address. And then you have the departures of Jordan Henderson and Fabinho as well, which you have to assume, given the fact they didn't move for Jude Bellingham, they hadn't accounted for moving into the window. So all of a sudden they needed 4 or 5 midfielders, and that's such a difficult ask. And they got in some fantastic players: McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. I can't say I knew too much about Endo, but he started well. To get in those players is only half the battle. To get them to be able to play together and play with the kind of chemistry that they have, and with the fluidity in that midfield that they've been able to play this season, is a huge achievement for Liverpool, for Klopp, and for those players themselves. So I've been really impressed with that. And you know, Tottenham, I think where we've dominated a lot of games this season, and even including Sunday when Declan Rice came off at halftime, was what we had in the midfield, and we can simply offer more with the pace, the power, the technical ability, the kind of tactical bits with the inverted fullbacks. I'm not sure we're going to have that advantage on Saturday, especially if Trent is going to be coming in and playing in. I'm not even sure if he's back, but if he is playing in that sort of position as well, it's going to be so difficult. But what I know, looking at these players in the squad that we have, is they will be relishing this game of football. And what's gotten us in these big games in the last 5 or so years is the fear that we've had going into these games. The fact that we've cowered, we've gone back into our shell, we played defensive football, we've tried to take the bombardment from a team for 90 minutes. That's not how you play football. That's not how you win games of football. These players would have been relishing this game a week ago, but knowing what they were able to do at the Emirates Stadium, they're going to see this game as one that they can absolutely go and win. And they're going to go into the game with the mentality of, this is a must win. It's not a must not lose. It's a game we need to come out with 3 points. And just go back to that interview that Van de Ven did with NBC after the game against Arsenal. It was later on in the interview, he was kind of talking about what's coming up next. And he said, next up, we've got Liverpool. And there was this huge smile on his face. Like, he was really looking forward to the challenge, really looking forward to the game. And that's what I love to see with this team. And I know Postecoglou is going to be saying the same to them, that, you know, this is why you're in the game. For these players who, with all due respect to the Bundesliga and the Serie A, you don't get the games like the Tottenham Liverpool, like the Tottenham Arsenal in those leagues. And for a lot of them, this is going to be a big moment for them. These first huge game in the Premier League, their first huge game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's going to be absolutely massive for them. And I know each and every one of them is going to be going into this game with huge confidence, like Christina said, with an incredible atmosphere, especially off the back of what we were able to do on Sunday. Everything is shaping up very nicely, and everything is looking like this could be the moment that we do it. Usually that's when Liverpool beat us. And I don't want to say they're going to beat us, but you mentioned that game in 2017, how that was a watershed moment for Liverpool. And if you'd gone back to that game and you said to someone, in the next 5 years, one of those teams you just watched is going to win every trophy in world football, not one person would have said Liverpool, but they have gone on to do that. And they managed to turn it around so fantastically. It feels as though with the last 6-12 months, as though Tottenham may have had that watershed moment. And look, having the moment is the easy bit. Being actually able to back it up on the pitch, off the pitch, in what you do and what you preach from the players and the managers that you have, that's the difficult bit. And I think we have that perfect setup to be able to go on. And I don't think we're going to emulate what Liverpool did to the same extent. I don't see us winning a Champions League in 4 years, but we're turning around. I think we're on a trajectory now similar to what Liverpool were on 5 years ago. So hopefully we can be a bit more of a youthful, exuberant version of themselves and take the game to them a little bit and hopefully come out with the 3 points. But I'm not going to be predicting a victory, unfortunately.
Okay, we're going to come around and predict in a second. I've got to say, you look at Liverpool start to the season. I mean, listen, they've done better than maybe anyone expected from the 5 wins from the 6. They remain unbeaten behind only Man City in the table. They've had wins over Villa, Newcastle. But I think Liverpool would also agree that this probably the test of Tottenham is their toughest challenge to date for sure as well. So, when you have 2 sides like this, it's a really, really intriguing fixture. It'll be one that does come down to, again, the battle of maybe the substitutes, getting that right. And I think we've all got to say, to be fair, Ange has done really, really well in now in the right time to make the substitutions so far during these opening set of fixtures. But look, Liverpool are going to come, as Chris mentioned, to a really noisy, a more connected Tottenham stand I think we've seen definitely in these last, 4 or 5 years. And I think we all have to hope that essentially the crowd are going to play their massive part of it. I've got to say the home fans have been absolutely magnificent this season. In terms of getting behind the team. The United atmosphere was unbelievable. And again, for a player to play in that, and obviously Chris, you were there as well, as a player, you've got to feel such a sense of confidence and belief when you play amongst that atmosphere that you do feel anything is possible. I know there's been some questions over some injury doubts, so just to bring everyone up to date where we are on that in terms of those injury concerns, I think as we understand at the moment, there is a tightness around the hamstring of Brennan Johnson. We will expect to hear some more news on that from Ange Postecoglou towards, obviously, of course, the end of the week when he holds that pre-match press conference. For James Maddison, look, I think, as Chris said, we all had our hearts in our mouth when he had that awkward moment where it looked like he turned an ankle, but he did carry on. And I think, as Chris referenced there, he did come off. It looked more precautionary. He was, through the mix zone okay. There was talk that he had a scan earlier this week. But I'd like to think no news is good news. We've had nothing to suggest there's any major problems. But again, such is the nature of James Maddison and what he means to this Spurs side, as Matt and Rick have alluded to. We want to, dress him up in cotton wool and make sure we've got him ready for the weekend. These are the games you want, your James Maddisons, the Heung-min Sons, the 𝐂𝐤𝐷 because it's arguably games like this that are won by the big players for big stakes. So look, let's get straight into it then, guys. Let's go for predictions. Chris, let's start with you. What are you going to go for?
Sorry. This is the part that I hate the most. It's not something that I think is actually going to be my prediction, but it's what I want it to be. That's how I'm going to play it this game. So okay. I'm going to say 2-1 to Tottenham. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah. Nice
one. 2-1 Spurs. We'll take that. Matt, let's come to you. That would be Liverpool's first defeat in 19 games. That does happen. Again, many feel this result is overdue, Matt. So tell me what you feel. How we're going to go into this one, Matt, for you.
I just want to say, first of all, we better win this game because I'm working on Saturday, so I'm going to miss it. But I've made a deal with my dad, who's a Liverpool fan, that we're going to watch Match of the Day afterwards, regardless of who wins the game. So it'd be more painful watching back if we've lost. So we better not lose. My heart is saying that we can nick it, but my head is saying 1-1. It will be, I think, like the game on Sunday. It'll be not a cagey affair, but a very, very tight kind of tactical battle. It'll be quite intense. I'm going to go 1-1, but if we win, I'll retrospectively change my prediction if that's allowed.
I'm in the same boat as you, Matt, on that. And just if it is that result, we'll come around to Rich to close it. If it is 1-1 and it is only 2 points out of our last 6, how do you feel about that? Given the fact that we've played Arsenal, Liverpool, we've come for unbeaten, Matt. Does that particularly bother you? Is it more again its performances right over then points at this stage? Does it bother you the fact that we may have dropped 4 points in those fixtures that we might not have been? We might have been guaranteed to get any points in those fixtures.
Yeah, it's I think what we want to see is progress, and I don't think we're at the stage of this yet where we need to be looking at winning. You know, and Postecoglou would be the first person to tell you that. What I look at that as is those 2 games last year compared to this year, that would be 2 more points and much better football. And it's not where we want to be. It's not it's not going to be a win for us, but that's progress, and I would be happy with that.
I think I know what's coming out of Ricky Norwood's mouth before he even says it. Because I've known this man for the last 6-7 years, and there's no way this man's going to produce anything other than what I think. Ricks, what are we going to go for?
Well, brother, we all know that going up against Liverpool, we don't get much luck. It's always going to be fireworks. It's always going to be a roller coaster. And let me tell you now, I think we would all love it if we could wipe the smile off of Klopp's face. I think that would be fantastic. But
Absolutely.
I think that the tide is definitely turning with Tottenham. And these boys are fearless. These boys never stop. You know, these boys continue to play for each other. And I think it's going to be a roller coaster over a game. And you know what? Even this is how far we've come. That even if we lose, it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop where we're going. It doesn't stop us. The project that we're on, and we're gonna continue to build. If the loss does happen, which I don't think it is gonna happen, but if it does happen, we will take the notes and we will take the criticism and we will take every little mistake and use it to make us stronger, to make us better for the next time that we play them. But for me, with this Tottenham side, with Big Ange being at home, with that crowd, and the stadium's gonna be absolutely rocking. For me, it's got to be a Tottenham win. And you knew, I know, we know. Anybody that's heard me before, I'd never back the boys to lose. Even in the most kind of ridiculous of scenarios, I don't care. I always back my boys to win. But I actually believe that they're going to turn the tide. And for me, it's going to be a 2-1. Sonny will score the first, and Basuma will score the winner. Laid on by Richarlison. There you go. We're going to have it. 3 points off of Liverpool in ages. We deserve it, all right? So come on.
There is a rumour going around, Rick, that you and Liam McQueen are a duo to send in for the stand-up to begin with before Ange delivers the speech. Is any truth in that? You're the warm-up that to go in there.
I'm not allowed to speak. I'm on an NDA, mate. I'm not
I know you are.
I
feel bad that I've demoted him, that Ange is the one doing the speech. It should be Rick doing the whole bloody thing, to be honest with you. Honestly, Joe, you know what? I do agree, Rick. You know, a win there, and I think, to be fair, I think there would be a sense of overdrive in amongst media, amongst Spurs fans. But look, I think, as you've said there, and we've all said, it is a case at the moment. It's one game at a time. It's one game a week, but there is that excitement. And I got to say, even like, as you know, Rick, doing pods, it's genuine excitement about what is to come, man, which is fantastic. It's lovely talking this way about the football club. I want to say a massive thank you, Chris. Love to have you back on the show. You're back with us very, very soon. Keep spreading the optimism, the positive vibes. It's a very, very happy time right now to be a fan, right, Chris?
It's absolutely amazing. I just need to point it out, though. Please, guys, whoever's watching, to vote for Last Word On Spurs, because honestly, this guy, wrong way, this guy here.
Wait, can any of these guys really? No matter what everyone puts in here,
Ricky, you deserve a hell of a lot of credit with what you have done with this whole podcast. And, you know, we need to give it to you as well as much. You know, we love coming on here, you know, but honestly, what you have done, it has been absolutely incredible. And it's good that we are actually getting good football, because I am enjoying more coming on here, talking nice things about Tottenham. But honestly, thanks to you and all the fans that are obviously watching, it's all down to you. So please vote, guys, honestly.
Chris, thank you so much. Lots of love. Thank you so much. Matt, Bud, it's, look, a really good time to be a fan. You know, we had that course throughout the summer where we spoke to so many journalists. And of course, you know, we went through the summer. We went through that overhaul of players. It feels right now, Matt, that we're riding that wave of emotion and the fact that it's so enjoyable. That we might even get some more Matty Hayes videos, right? Potentially, Matt, what's to come with what's going on at the moment? Potentially? Is it an eye-opener?
Look, if things keep going as good as they're going,
I feel bad. I teamed Matt up there unexpectedly, didn't I?
No, but look, there's going to come a point where I have so much Spurs positivity inside of me, and no one in my life supports Tottenham, so they're not going to want to listen to me. I'm going to have to get it out somewhere. Do you know what? We make a deal. If Last Word on Spurs win the best podcast at the FCAs, I'll come back with the videos. Now, for some people, that might be motivation to not vote, but please get those votes in for Last Word on Spurs. I can only echo what Christina said. I've had so much fun on so many of these shows, and I was only thinking there a few minutes ago, I'm going to tweet afterwards to promote the show or whatever, but every show I'm on, is better and more enjoyable than last. And Ricky, the work that you put in behind the scenes on the screen, I really, really don't think people can understand exactly what it takes to run something on your own is so incredibly difficult. But to do what you do with so many people, with so many fantastic guests, and a constant, not just constantly putting out the content, but constantly putting out quality content, it is a job and a half in itself. So I cannot ask people enough to vote for Last Word On Spurs and get this man the trophy he deserves.
Mate, thank you so much for the kind words. I've got to just say, look, it is a team effort. Without these wonderful, beautiful people you see, it can't happen. And honestly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Without these wonderful people you see week in, week out, that come on, give their views on Tottenham. Listen, thank you so much for all the love. Rick, thank you, mate. You've been alongside me since 1967. It probably feels like that, right? So some of the shows you've been through with me, I have to apologise, mate. But thank you so much as always, mate.
No, listen, always an honour, always a pleasure. And just to echo what the guy said, absolutely, vote for Last Word On Spurs. I'm so proud to be on this show for,
bless my man.
for the years that we have been. And I'm so proud that you're up for for these type of awards. We absolutely deserve it. You absolutely deserve it, Ricks, for the amount of time and effort that you put in. And people know that watch the show regularly. You got, young kids as well. And there's been many a time that you've had to leave the pod, duck out, get them out of the car in the rain.
I thought it was going to be one of those nights again, quite frankly, but we've somehow managed to make it work. It's been a family effort tonight. I've got half the family looking at me in the other room, looking at me thinking, they're tapping the watch, thinking, what time's this? It was an 8:30 start, so you can imagine what kind of trouble I'm in. But listen, it is always fun. I'm very, very lucky. And listen, without the wonderful support network I've got, you amazing people, wonderful family behind me, it wouldn't be possible. But again, I must say, it's a massive, massive team effort. And Rick, thank you for being part of it as always, mate, and making the time.
Always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure.
Diamond, sending love. Listen, guys, thank you so much for all your incredible support for the show. Look, we'll give one last shameless plug for it. If you want to vote for Last Word On Spurs in, of course, the FCAs, go to footballcontentawards.com/voting. And, of course, Last Word On Spurs, best podcast in Premier League. Thank you for all your support from the wonderful Matty Hayes, from the superb Christina Zandes, from the brilliant Ricky Norwood. We've been the Last Word On Spurs. Keep safe, keep well. We'll see you after Liverpool. Thank you so much. And as always, guys,